is sensational for Cincinnati. Mitch Hildebrand, the hero, and the underdogs have prevailed once again.
I would like to present the USL Regular Season Championship to FC Cincinnati. Congratulations to the players, the staff, and most importantly, the fans on a record-breaking season. Congratulations.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for your regular season champions, FC Cincinnati.
In a foot race, Cincinnati plays this across. Vasquez with the finish. Brandon Vasquez gives Cincinnati the 2-1 lead. A late breakdown by Red Bull.
Well, Dylan Nealis gets beaten, and nobody covers the streaking run. Unbelievable.
Real got under that. Oh! What a goal for FC Cincinnati! You couldn't dream that any better. Goal of the tournament. Maybe the history of the tournament. Alvaro Barreal makes it 2-0.
They have done it. Cincinnati, your 2023 Supporters Shield winners. A first trophy in their MLS era, and now they celebrate. Top of the Supporters Shield race since May. They never look back. And now a piece of silverware to show for it.
They've gone for the long-range efforts. My word! That is spectacular! That is a goal to savour for a lifetime! An I was there type goal! Look at Orishano with an iconic strike at TQL Stadium.
CF Montreal just go to sleep when the ball goes. His whistle dead, and Orishano just takes a peek, looks up, and doesn't even need to touch the ball. And how about this technique? Just absolutely perfect.
Lifted into the penalty area. That's Bauer, and that's Will. That's saved, and that's Surridge, and he still saves it on the line. What a 60 seconds for Roman Celentano.
A double save, and he knows everything about it as well. First the punch, but then he gets back to his line. That is sensational, because he goes low for that first one, but look at him get up again.
Jano gets the cross away. Bicycle kick! Wow!
The Flying Lion says,
boys, hell is real.
2023 Supporter Shield champs.
So glad that I can be back with people who know that it's a Flying Lion.
It shows how much we all love this club.
Yeah, just a fan of the sport, you know.
It's definitely tougher to be an academy player than it is a pro.
In this club, you don't play just for the club. You play for the club. I'm here for the fans.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Thanks, everyone, for joining us.
What's going on, guys?
Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of the Flying Lion podcast. It's still silly season. The season is coming up closer. We're almost to February. We're almost here, but how are we feeling tonight, Sam?
Yeah, feeling good. Obviously, you know, some huge news broke today, so we're going to immediately talk about that because we know everybody wants to talk about that right away. But we have some things that, you know, from preseason, right? It's off and going, as well as, you know, some other things roster-wise. And Ryan, we're still waiting on those kits, itching for those kits. So we'll touch on that a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, happy to be an FC Cincinnati fan right now because, I mean, news is everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, it constantly is, like in the offseason especially. Today, yeah, like Sam mentioned, big news broke. We're going to talk about that with the Kévin Denkey situation. FC Cincinnati, they did have their first preseason match against the New England Revolution, so we'll touch on that in the first part. Second part of the episode, we're going to break down some other details with MLS kit rumors, some releases for theme nights for the team as well, and then some rule changes in the MLS. So we're going to get to all of that. A long episode, but hope you stay with us. A lot of new things going on. But like Sam mentioned, breaking news today. So a report online comes from Sportsboom. A guy by the name of Ekram Kanur, a guy with over 240,000 followers on X, comes out with this post that's saying that Napoli, among some other teams, are reportedly eyeing FC Cincinnati striker Kévin Denkey. Now, again, this has been an interesting one as the days gone on and developed. This guy doesn't have the most reliable track when it comes to, his rumors that he puts out, especially for the MLS. A lot of people online kind of saying, is this real? Is it fake? There's not a lot of other reports really out there about this as well, Sam. But then we also get the fact that Laurel kind of confirms that the interest is real, not only with Napoli, who is the big, Italian champions last year, but with a few Premier League teams as well, Sam. So what kind of big news we have? This potential move, it sounds like, would be coming in the summer. So that's kind of the good context to put on this. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, obviously, like right away, you're like, wow, like that's I mean, especially since us as MLS and FC Cincinnati fan, we're getting ready for preseason. We're getting ready for Champions Cup. Like we're almost there. The roster, right? We're like, hey, everybody's here. No drama, no nothing. Ryan, you can't go in off season without a little bit of drama, And I think originally, all of us, even including some of us, it took a while, right? You have to like read the article to know, but like you said, this is speculated to be more in the summer rather than right now. Would have to be a really quick turnaround for Napoli to be able to get that deal done here by the end of the January window. But yeah, I mean, the thing that pops out to everybody were the numbers, right? I mean, you see Ekram's tweet, right? And it says valuation of 20 to 30 million, right? And you're like, whoa, like that's wow, all right. And then obviously you dive deep a little bit more, and so I mean FC Cincinnati, that's what they value Kévin Denkey at, rather than his current market value. And I think what Napoli and some other squads are trying to get Denkey for is that maybe 16 to 20 mil range rather than 25 to 30. Which is kind of what FC Cincinnati is wanting, north of that 30 mark.
Well, okay, so specifically in what he says in this article, because this is all reference to kind of what he has said here, that FC Cincinnati, at least, from what we bought Kévin, was at 16 million. So a lot of teams are kind of looking at that range. But even as Laurel kind of puts out in her tweet, going back to last season, we wanted 25 million plus. So in this guy's articles, the conversion from the euros to the American dollars, it's roughly about that FC Cincinnati would want anywhere in the ballpark of 29 to 35.5 million for this player, which is, again, a crazy number, like Sam's saying here. But no concrete, offer has become known or seen there. But we do have some other rumblings kind of from the other side of things as well, Sam. We found this one. Kévin Denkey's representative or agent, whichever way you want to look at this, the guy who helped Kévin Denkey come to FC Cincinnati, Jerome Mayary, Meary, his agency, Elite Athletes Agency. Let's put that out there. He came on Zach Nani's podcast last week, just 2 days ago, I believe, and had some interesting things to say about Kévin Denkey's future, Sam. I don't know if anyone's kind of picked up on this, but so if we kind of go into the script of things, he basically was talking about Kévin and his future and how he kind of brought him into the league.
For context, real quick, if you go watch this YouTube clip, it is in French. So
yeah, in French,
right. All day I was painstakingly trying to like translate this and figure out, like, we do have clips that we have ready. However, Ryan and I watched it, listened to it, and for those of you watching or listening, I mean, I have captions on it, but that doesn't really do the podcast listeners any justice, right? Because you're just listening to it. I don't think we get that many people from France, Ryan. But yeah, I mean, if you want to run people with kind of what the captions say, or I mean, a little bit of a summary of what they're talking about.
Yeah. So, Jerome in this, he kind of comes out and says that we had to convince him, that FC Cincinnati was the right project. He said after he gets here, basically he says, it's magnificent. I made the best choice of my career is kind of what it translated to. And then he asked Kévin Denkey, today, and he said, I still made the best choice of my career. You look at his age, he's putting up these huge numbers is what he's saying. They even believe, that he could go for 25 goals next year as he had 16 last year. He says that they have about 25 European clubs who've called and tried to sign him. And this is recent, apparently, European clubs especially. And he goes, really, as he's kind of, mentioning this in Kevin's responses. My goal is to stay in Cincinnati. If something crazy happens, I'll take it. But today my head is in Cincinnati. And so again, as they kind of continue in this, he's talking about, if he does kind of pop off this year, Sam, and he does go for 25 goals, he said, this is a direct quote from this guy in translation, I think there will be offers of 25 or 30 million for him and that he'll go back to Europe. So whether that means, in the summer or at the end of the season, it seems to kind of align pretty well. And again, this is from a guy, a direct representative for Kévin Denkey, saying this, on a podcast 2 days ago. So very interesting to hear that.
No, and this is, I mean, obviously the transfer like speculation, right? That's one thing, but then, stumbling upon this and having a little bit of backing of like, no, actually like 25 to 30 million is actually, what not only FC Cincinnati is wanting, but Denkey's camp as well is kind of wanting that transfer fee to go back to Europe.
Well, and they're going to posture that. I mean, the agent, is going to, of course, say, for my player and from our standpoint, like that's what we'd love as well. It's got to all kind of fit. And again, to kind of put this all into, context, Denkey's still under contract with us through 2028, club option for 2029. Like Sam said, we're just now starting our preseason, all of this stuff, this buildup, especially, CONCACAF Champions Cup that we're going to be focusing on. I don't think it's, again, a short-term thing. It's going to be more of a long-term play. A lot of teams that are going to be interested. I kind of liken it in some regards to, what we had with Brenner with, several different teams that were interested. The goal for him always was to go to Europe. But I mean, we're talking huge numbers, Sam, if it comes down to this and what it ends up being.
No, yeah. And obviously, like, I think I saw Laurel put something out about this, but like, yeah, the club would gain from this like significantly. Not only being able to help get, somebody in the same position, but also you can reinvest that in multiple positions or, back into the academy or the second team. Like you can use that money for, whatever you want in the future. And if that's something that, Kévin wants, right, then that, once again, similar to the Miles Robinson situation where it's like, hey, you can come to FC Cincinnati and now he's potentially a starter for the U.S. men's national team in a World Cup, right? Similar thing for Kévin Denkey. Hey, come here, come to MLS, absolutely kill it, rise your asking price and what you want, and then you can go to Europe and make 10 times more money than if you would have stayed there and stayed in Belgium, right? So obviously it becomes honestly like a nicer spot for FC Cincinnati for future players that want to come to the MLS and they go, hey, FC Cincinnati has this track record of turning over players pretty well. Obviously we did it with Brenner, right? Goes to Udinese, obviously doesn't work out too well over there for him, but Kévin Denkey, first year in FC Cincinnati, 16 goals, right? Pretty solid. So yeah, obviously like we want Denkey to stay here. He's arguably, our best player, if not, second best with Evander. And yeah, I mean, hopefully if something does happen, right, the rumor is, right, it's during the summer window. Maybe by then, Chris is talking to some other clubs and we kind of find the right replacement rather than obviously like right away, here this January. So give the team some time to find the right spot, which I was joking with you. I said, how funny would that be if, this happens during the summer and then we just end up bringing back Brenner from Vasco and then, Vasco is late on payments or, whatever else. So I thought that's
interesting, especially with the fact that like this whole Brenner thing goes down in the off season. Imagine if he stayed or we were able to, find a way. I think I feel a little bit better about the possibility in the summer of Denkey going. Because right now, I mean, as a lot of people have said, we do have several strikers on the roster, but our main guy is Kévin Denkey. Let's be honest, and losing him, what hole do we have to fill if we're in the middle of, a shield race potentially, or what kind of trophies we're going to look at in the back end of the season? Obviously there's a lot of things that can go on, but yeah, I think at some point deep down, if we all kind of look at ourselves and our thoughts about Kévin Denkey, I think we all kind of had a feeling that at some point this may happen. We were hoping maybe not sooner than later, but we'll see kind of what unplays with this. But it was an interesting kind of thing that comes out. The club, Sam, immediately, whether, they do it on purpose or not, they post a photo immediately of Kévin Denkey in training with a little lock emoji next to his, username there, which I think is funny, basically to say, he's locked in, he's with us, he's on our roster. And we're going to enjoy it as long as he's here. Hopefully more bicycle kick goals to come. And I'm going for 20 plus goals this season, regardless of when, he may or may not be here. That's what I'm going to lock in again this season. But Sam, we did have a match in which Kévin Denkey scored in preseason here. So preseason match number 1, New England, I can't even say it, New England Revolution. Shout out to Carter for continuing his live blog series. The 3rd straight year he's been doing this. We didn't have any video streams, but Carter's been spitting out, all the play-by-plays and giving us kind of the lineups and whatnot. So we really appreciate that. But this match was 105 minutes. It was, I think, a normal 45, and then after that, there was 2 30-minute sessions. Starting lineup-wise, what do you see for what the boys rolled out?
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly what it looked like last season. Like it normal lineup, which I don't know what we were expecting, right? Because obviously they come into this preseason going, hey, like, we're going to change some things, not drastically, but, we're going to be changing some things, see how we can, maybe it's formation, maybe it's just tactically thinking. And yeah, I mean, you've got Pavel Buka, Roman, Denkey, Ender, Evander, Flores, Hagelin, Jabari, Obi, Miles, and then I don't know, this unnamed trialist who, stay tuned, for later in this episode. We may have a photo of said trialist. But yeah, I think the starting lineup is something that you saw last season.
Yeah, I mean, rolled it out again. Starting preseason, you don't see it a lot that teams do this. I think even going back a few seasons, like when have you seen really our best 11, feature that early on? They want continuity even more and kind of see what we can do maybe with the refresh and the different attacking ideas that we had. From what it sounds like, it sounds like we had a pretty good build up. We had a couple chances. Jabari hit the post, from one of Carter's, live blogs and telling us that Evander also had a free kick that went just wide. First 45 minutes and it's scoreless. And then early in the second segment, Kévin Denkey gets a nice goal that we see a video of with Buka playing a ball into him, takes it kind of first time. Would love to see even more of this, in the coming year, finding Denkey in dangerous positions in the box. We didn't see it again a ton last season. So happy to see him, off and going. That was pretty cool. But then second squad, Sam, we get a lot of kind of rotation, but some pretty good backups as well.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, as soon as that goal is scored, they rotate very heavily, right? They go straight to the second team because I'm sure if you watched kind of Pat's, post-game presser, which we'll talk about after this, he's kind of displeased with the first team there, like not converting chances. So immediately, hey, put in the second squad. And so you get Brian Anunga, Tom Barlow, Andre Shirilla, Stefan Shirilla. So both brothers on the pitch playing together. Really cool. Then you get Giddy, Lajar, Evan Loro in the keeper position, made a phenomenal save at the end of the game there. And then you get Mbomadem, Powell, Kyle Smith, and then, wrap it up with Dotto. So I'm not quite sure what formation that would look like, with the players out there. Obviously, maybe it was just the same one, and they, I think I saw somebody put, Kyle Smith on the right, Lajar on the left, as far as like wing backs, and then you get Shirilla and Alvis Powell as your
probably,
backs.
Yeah. Yeah, you could put Kyle Smith in the middle as well. That would be a good look for him. He's played a little bit in center back. But yeah, it was interesting to kind of see what he rolls out with that. And then it was all, different players. It wasn't, any integration in guys as well. Again, probably just building up minutes and not wanting the first team or first choice guys, getting more than 45 to start. It was interesting, Sam. You always do a little bit of the zoom in, for these photos. The club was pretty strategic about what they left in and what they left out. But we do see New England Revolution post a video, a nice little clip of Evander on his free kick. And in the background, we see an interesting person.
There he is.
For everyone that's listening, we just put a photo up of an unknown player, a trialist, with on his shorts what looks like the number 2, but you can't quite tell. He's got red shoes on. It's got to be Brian Ramirez, and I think everyone else, clearly knows that in the FCC circles too. This guy's still waiting on his visa to clear, and I just think the club's not allowed to post anything yet. But shout out to the New England Revolution for putting some content out there. And we ended up seeing that. So take that what you will. It kind of is like a Sasquatch situation there. It's a little pixelated, but still.
No, yeah, you got him in the action. Obviously last episode, if you caught it, I was giving Ryan a bunch of crap for zooming in on shorts, and here he goes again, zooming in on the video, and it works out well because we get our first glimpse of Mr. Brian Ramirez in the orange and blue. But Ryan, what were kind of some of the takeaways for you? First preseason match, obviously looking at everything that Carter had put out, in his recap as well. And then, we'll touch on here a little bit, but, post-game comments, stuff like that. What were your thoughts?
We're going full sicko mode right now. Takeaways from first preseason match. Yeah, we're deep into it. We rolled out the same formation, Sam, at least from what we could tell with the players that were available. It seemed like that's kind of what we did. So likely not changing for this season. So that's a takeaway for me. Obviously, we don't know exactly how they lined up, but that's kind of seemingly based on the people we had, what I think is going on. Denkey, we're getting him going, getting him to score goals. He did that early in the season last year. And then, letting everyone kind of run at it from the get-go. I think that's good for a strong CONCACAF Champions Cup run and showing that the club prioritizes that. Getting everyone going early, which is not a bad thing. The Miazga situation worries me a little bit. We'll kind of touch on what Pat Noonan said here in a minute about that, but he did not feature at all. Matt Miazga did not. He wasn't a sub. He wasn't available. Sounds like he had some external things going on with his knee. So we'll, again, chat on that. But Sam, before we do, your takeaways.
Yeah, my takeaways, obviously from what we were reading from Carter and then seeing, via video, it looked like we had some encouraging, attacking moments early. Obviously, Jabari off the post, that seemed exciting, right? Reading it. But
it was a header, right? I think it was.
Yeah. But once again, this is all about progress and not too much on results. Obviously you want in anything you want to win, but you want to continue to see that progress and the fluidity in the squad. My other points are, you have returning players, right? So the standard is higher. It makes sense. You'll hear kind of what Pat said, and it makes sense. It's valid. I hope that they're able to live up to that standard, obviously, because the cohesion after one season, right? We'll see if they're able to put it together. But then something really cool too, 3 different scorers to lead off the preseason the past 3 years. You get Denkey opens the scoring for 2026. Last year it was Andre Sharilla for 2025, and then Aaron Bupenza opened the scoring for 2024. So yeah, really cool to see that. I'm sure it was probably a 4th different score. I just didn't go back before that because Carter Chapley started 3 years ago. So we have 3 different goal scorers, 3 different, live blogs. So that's why I kind of put the 2 together. But Ryan, you kind of run the people down. First, Denkey's comments that they had after the match here.
Yeah, so Kevin, you see the video of him, and they asked him, about the season and this match particularly. He said it's good to continue building connections with the players. Like last year, everyone was coming in and was new. Now they have, another preseason under their belt to kind of get everything together, and that should kind of give us an advantage, because of that. Pat Noonan then looks very tired in his conference. When they interview him, it looks like back at his
on Zoom. So they're on Zoom,
right?
If you saw the clips we put out, they're interviewing him via Zoom, and he's sitting on a couch, just like, I want to take a nap. Like I want to
poor guy just needed to sleep a little bit. But it was nice of him to do, for the first preseason match to give us, some info on this. But he felt like the first 45 minutes was poor. Just again, having more expectation with a lot of the continuity from last year's players. Last 10 minutes better, but still not, quite enough in conceding up a goal. But trying new things, how to use the wing backs a little bit better, weak side responsibilities, attacking third play, kind of things that, again, we've been waiting to see kind of come together. So it was nice to see him kind of comment on that. But also saying, prior to this match, how it was maybe arguably one of the strongest preseasons that he's seen, getting the guys on and off the field together in a productive way. So that was interesting. But then some big comments come out. We had been tracking this one, but Teenage Hidebe, he was not able to attend the match, but is back or was back in Cincinnati. And then I think did his medical, is likely going to be down
Yesterday.
or was down in Florida
Sunday.
So yeah, he's back down with the squad with a new number, by the way. He's
15.
number 15 now instead of 16 from last year. And then, like we mentioned with Matt Miazga, Sam, training off to the side, Pat comes out and directly says he's had some irritation in his knee. Joining the squad hopefully soon. I know Laurel had kind of put it out as well. They want to ease him back into it, which makes sense. It's concerning. I mean, we've had 3 months since his original injury now. Whether this is related to surgery from before or not, we can only speculate. But the fact that he's still feeling some irritation there concerns me this close to the season. Hopefully he can, again, build his way back in and get through things here.
No, yeah, you're getting Miazga for 1 year, over $1 million, right? Obviously, he's one of the highest paid guys on FC Cincinnati, and you want him to be healthy, not just because for performance, but based off of your checkbook, right?
That's an interesting way to say it, but
well, honestly, I mean, you're looking at it going, man, like, should we have picked up his option? Like, I think Pat was saying that, he had been grinding all off season and his knee had been feeling fine. Like he'd been really, working really hard and wanting to get back to, the Matt Miazga that we saw, Defender of the Year, right? So it is unfortunate to see that he had some irritation. How is this going to play going into, the rest of preseason and then Champions Cup? So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
We can only speculate, again, just based on what he said and having some of this irritation. We wish the best, number one, for the player. I hope that Matt's okay and that he can figure this out. We've seen, as we've talked about with Ricky Puig, and re-tearing his ACL, there can be some awful setbacks, with knee injuries. So I'm hoping that he's okay. More, again, number one, from the player standpoint, and then number two, selfishly, just from a fan standpoint and what this player means to the team. Because as Sam kind of put out today in a post, I mean, he's one of the most highly, I guess, how did you even word it, Sam? Prioritized players in the league, or?
Yeah. Let me find it. I was going to talk about it later.
MLS.com had put it out, but essentially said that like he was one of the most valuable or pivotal, one of the most pivotal players, for the season in general. And for us especially, because the center back depth kind of drops off a little bit too. So we needed him to be healthy. But as we continue the preseason, Wednesday, January 28th, we do play Houston Dynamo. That's at Al Lang Stadium. So more live blogs probably to come for that. Saturday, February 7th, Detroit City, a little rematch against them from the glory days. I think, do we play Louisville City as well, Sam? I think I remember seeing that somewhere as well, that we might play them.
I haven't seen that anywhere. I don't know.
Okay. And then Wednesday, February 11th, Orlando City is another one that's coming up here as well. So we'll have all news for that. Sam, let's finally hear. Brian Ramirez is in. I don't think we need to beat it to death, but he finally signed. He's joining through 28-29, right?
Yeah, 28-29 with an option for 29-30. And once again, still working on his visa, but just to update you guys, I mean, this is a guy, that has domestic silverware and has kind of helped his club down in Ecuador make some remarkable runs. So hopefully he's able to do the same with FC Cincinnati. I mean, this is an announcement we've been waiting for since late December, just waiting for Orishano to leave and then waiting for now, his visa to become available. And hopefully, we'll get the first kind of video right from FC Cincinnati instead of what we found on the New England Revolution's video. But in other news, Brian Schaefer, he signed a first team deal with FC Cincinnati and then was immediately loaned out to the Tampa Bay Rowdies of the USL Championship for the duration of the 2026 season. So Schaefer was a 2024 draft pick from FC Cincinnati. He's been with FCC2 for the past 2 seasons. But in September of last year, he was loaned to Indy 11 in the USL Championship. So nice to see. I mean, very interesting, like, press release, right? You're like, oh, he's loaned out, and then you see, no, he actually signed a first team deal, because the press release came from FC Cincinnati. So I was like, oh, well, maybe they put it out on the wrong website, right? No, so pretty cool for him. Obviously, this is somebody we've talked about extensively whenever we cover FCC2 as far as a pivotal guy in the back, right? Him and Andre Shirilla were really the 2 center backs that we were kind of looking at for the future. And so happy to see that he got the first team deal, and we'll see. Obviously, he'll be playing against better competition in the USL Championship opposed to MLS Next Pro. But Ryan, thoughts on Schaefer?
This is interesting that he signs a first team deal. I feel like somewhere that had to be done or something. Why otherwise would we have done that? And then immediately loan him out to USL. I think a lot of people have been hoping that this would happen more, just to see some of these players in more competitive environments. Next Pro is good, but I think sometimes USL guys fighting, for their careers sometimes can prove some things as well. This is the club, he's going to a Tampa Bay Rowdies that Forrest Lasso just retired from. So we have a little bit of some history down there as well. He doesn't have to go far from where the guys are now, Sam.
No, he does not.
Clearwater.
Right down the road.
I don't think Schaefer was with the first team, but he's not going to be far away from where the first team is.
No, yeah, obviously him being in Tampa is works out perfect. But yeah, as far as roster news, those were the 2 things that have happened since the last episode here. But Ryan, last episode you updated us on some jersey numbers. We've got some confirmations for said jersey numbers. Talk to us about some more on that.
Everyone's favorite segment. Here we go. If you're really looking to buy, this new jersey that hasn't been released, but we want to know, and then get these guys' numbers, now you know what numbers they're going to be, apparently. Jabari, number 26 from last season, is now number 99. Ademar Chavez, so our new player, homegrown guy, he's going to be number 30. I love number 30, by the way. I played number 30 historically growing up. Ken Griffey Jr.'s number as well. But he was 61 for FCC2. Tom Barlow, he took 16 from Hadebe. Do you think there was some sort of backdoor deal there for the number like we see in other sports? Do you think he had to pay a fee or something for it?
I don't think so. I mean, if you kind of run down, Hadebe's number change here, he goes, from 16 to 15. And if you look historically, Hadebe's either been 15, 16, or 17 at every level that he's played. So even, playing for Zimbabwe, I believe he's number 16 currently, but has been 15 in the past. So he's also, I think he was 17 with the Dynamo. So he's right in there. I'm sure he doesn't really care. It doesn't matter. So what'll be more interesting to see is why Barlow picked it. Right. I think we just got a player spotlight on Barlow. If you saw FC Cincinnati posted that today, would have liked why he chose number 16 in there.
Can I make a point real quick? Maybe Hadebe changed his number so that he could give Messi his new jersey as well for this coming season.
Wants to swap again.
He wants to swap again with a new number.
Yeah. Hey, Messi, but you don't have the other one. You don't have the other one though.
You don't have my new number.
Yeah.
Mamba Dem, Sam, he was 35 last season. He's 17 for this season. And then we talked about Hadebe, but Brian Ramirez, I believe, is 29. We've seen some posts kind of circulating online about that. I think the club maybe had come out and put that one out potentially as well. But again, a lot of big numbers that are open still. I think number 7, number 8 as well, I believe. So some big soccer numbers still available for some future players maybe to come in. We'll see. As we talk about former player and coach news here, Sam, I want to kind of get confirmation for everyone. We put this out, I think, last week, potentially. Brenner, he's got his permanent deal down to Vasco da Gama. We touched on it a little bit earlier. 5.86 million fee, potentially up to 1.75 million is what Laurel reports here in add-ons from Udinese. Brenner wanted to return to FC Cincinnati, per again Laurel, but not for cheap. He didn't want to come back on a discount. He was making well over $2 million, I think she was putting out back in 2022. This past season, he was not making that in his short stint here, so he did not want to come back for cheap. Unfortunate, because you see Evander go immediately in post. I think he kind of spoiled the news for all the Vasco fans. Sam, did you see this?
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah, I saw, obviously, Evander puts on his story, a picture of him and Brenner together. And you could really, obviously, based off of that post, you're like, man, there really was like a true connection during their short time together. Only what could have been, Ryan, what could have been, what could still be possibly, who knows? But
time back.
yeah, Evander had said, I'm keeping an eye on you, like that was kind of what it translated to, on his story. So I don't know. We'll see. Never say never.
Never say never. Never say never for Lucas Engel. He comes back to the MLS. He finally gets confirmation, or we get confirmation. He's signing with RSL, a reunion with DeAndre Yedlin. He had been pushing to play with DeAndre. No, I'm just kidding. But he he goes to RSL. He joins on a permanent deal for $1 million. Me and you immediately think, like, why couldn't FC Cincinnati pay $1 million for Lucas Engel? But yeah, I don't know. There's mixed reactions about that. Again, the player was solid in the minutes he was in. He didn't quite have like a set position, which I think was hard for us to kind of figure out where to put him at times. He played better as a left center back than he did a left back. But I think for RSL, he might be a part of their 3-back system for them. So it'll be interesting. They picked him up in the re-entry draft, but then had to kind of negotiate with Middlesbrough. And that had been going on for, at least a month or so. So they finally confirmed that. And again, he's going to be joining DeAndre Yedlin out there. It's funny. It felt like Colorado Rapids were the FCC like former players, and now they're all going to RSL. Sam,
just go out west. Just go out west.
Somewhere out west.
Like, go to the mountains.
Yeah,
right? Yeah, exactly. Go to the mountains, and you'll be all right. You'll find your FC Cincinnati.
The hills of Cincinnati weren't enough for these players, apparently.
Yeah, I guess not. Especially right now. But another person, coach-wise, right, that we got some news on, Dom Kinnear, former FC Cincinnati assistant coach. He lands in Sporting KC as an assistant. I know Ryan and I were like, oh, maybe he'll get, a head coaching gig. He might have been in some interviews possibly, but, he joins that, coaching group over that new coaching group, I believe, right, for Sporting KC. Ryan, thoughts on that?
Good for Dom. Good to see him still in the league. Glad it's out west, because if it's in the east and we have to play whatever team it was 2 times, he'd kind of have the upper hand for us. But he joins Rafa Wicki, a guy that was formerly with Chicago Fire, actually. We talked a little bit about that the last time. But I think it's good for him. I think he's kind of been through his head coaching roles before, and he's kind of settled in nicely as an assistant. He brings great experience, but just happy to see Dom find a spot in the league. He's a legend in the MLS circles, so pretty cool to see. But Sam, let's go to a break here, and then we'll be back. We'll touch on a lot more MLS information that we had in the past week. Hey, everyone. The Flying Lion podcast is your home for FC Cincinnati coverage as a part of the Chatterbox Sports family. We're proud to be a part of a growing network of creators who are building real connections with fans across the region as the game continues to grow and in preparation for the 2026 FIFA World Cup hosted in America.
Yeah, and if you're a local business or a brand looking to reach an audience that's passionate, loyal, and plugged into the city's sports scene, this is the place.
Partnering with us is not just supporting a podcast. You're joining a community that celebrates FC Cincinnati and various other Cincinnati sports teams as well. So reach out through our email, which is Flying Lion Pod, FLYIN Lion Pod @gmail.com, or direct message us on social media to learn more about sponsorship and partnering options. Thanks again. Thanks again for joining us for this episode. Again, silly season is fully, going now, Sam, but we're almost to that regular season. We're almost to Champions Cup. We're almost to the Dominican. If everyone's going, I'm hoping that everyone's looking forward to that. But we still don't have a new kit for 2026. I think, we're hoping for an orange. We're pleading for that orange. We've got a lot of kit leaks, 21 teams so far that we've seen kind of leak kits. there's 9 in the MLS that don't. FC Cincinnati, Nashville, Orlando, Philly, Toronto, Dallas, Houston Dynamo, Minnesota United, and Vancouver. But Sam's got some concepts. If we do go with a fully orange style kit, let's show them, Sam, and what we had here. Go ahead and walk us through.
Yeah, so obviously you have some fun with these. I I was telling Ryan, like, we haven't seen any leaks for FC Cincinnati, so this is the right time to maybe give them some last minute inspiration, either now or for future use. And so on the left, if you're watching live, or if you're not, you can go into our Twitter and we've posted it on there. You can go and leave your comments, see which one you like. First one is the map design, right? Some people were like, is this an actual, Cincinnati map? No, it's just a random, like, city grid that I found, and I threw it on the shirt. So makes it look really cool. One of my favorites. And then, next to it, you kind of get some diagonal lines on that one, just something different. And then you get some horizontal stripes, similar to, some other MLS kits we may have seen in the past. And then on the far right, this kind of reminded me a lot of like PSG or Paris Saint-Germain, like how they kind of do their Jordan kits. So I tried to make it look like that. And then the last 3 that you see here on the far left, very simple, just gradient kind of design. Didn't really put much effort into this one. Kind of cool aspects as far as the collar and the sleeves. And then the middle one, you get more of that dark blue feel. I know FC Cincinnati still can't make up their mind between the royal blue and the dark blue. So, got to throw one of those designs in there. Once again, kind of with a diagonal pattern. And then lastly, this is another one of my favorites. It is kind of an homage to the U.S. men's national team kits that they had a couple years ago. And it's kind of that faded, line look with some gradient. So figured we'd be getting the World Cup here. Would be kind of cool to pay an homage to the U.S. men's national team with the World Cup in the United States for 2026. So, yeah.
I heard your thoughts on your favorites there. I like the map design. Again, if you guys are listening, go and check out Sam's photos, or our photos, I should say, on our X. So, but yeah, no, I dig it. I think I love the people out there that are telling us, oh, this isn't it. It's like, well, if then why don't you tell everyone what it is? So that's a funny comment we saw on Reddit about some of them. But anyway, as we go along, we had some news today about some theme nights. We had several throughout the season that they've kind of come out with. I think of the ones that I saw, the one that stands out for me the most is the bobblehead for Evander. My biggest question is, like, what kind of hairstyle are we going to get? You got to get the fro for the bobblehead.
What would have been better is a chia pet. We want a chia pet Evander, right? Where the hair just grows, Ryan. That would have been amazing. And as the season goes along, you water your little chia pet and Evander's hair grows just like it did last season, right? That would have been better. However, hopefully we get kind of Evander looking like a lion with a giant mane, on his bobblehead. The other question too, Ryan, is what are the quality of this bobblehead? I know in the past, right? What was it with the Gary bobblehead? It was a little.
Gary's not bad.
Well, didn't like a couple heads pop off very easily, or something like that. So you got to be very delicate with these bobbleheads, especially if you're getting them for free, with a ticket, obviously. But yeah, that one stands out very early, which is really cool. You get
March
it in March. And then obviously, some other ones that stand out are your regulars, right? As far as the Noche Latino night, you get Kick Cancer, Salute to Service, all the heritage and Pride nights. But Ryan, I think hosting Philly on Halloween, I think having everybody dress up on that is going to be really cool as well in October.
Yeah, we had it last year. I think we had a match like on Halloween again, and it would have been the prime time to roll out a black kit, Sam. I'm still pushing for it until we get one. Another one, I should say. We've had one before, I guess, historically, but not in the MLS.
Well, also March 22nd, Kids Day. Ryan, your kid going?
Of course, we'll be there. We'll be there for every game. I don't know what you're talking about. We'll be there for every single one. But I'm sure if you guys are sick of hearing about theme nights. But as we go on to the new rules for the MLS, Sam, there was some big changes that we heard. The primary transfer window is changing January 26th through March 26th. And then the secondary summer transfer window, this is the big one, changes from July 13th through September 2nd. And that's important just because it kind of extends this out. It makes us competitive across the world. It extends it to where everyone else, was, which we've been pushing for a long time. We heard Chris Albright talk about this and how, it wasn't great for the MLS to end that early. So now that we've got that, makes a ton of sense. We can add players kind of to shift and to align with the schedule change as well. I think another rule change that we had seen, just come out this past week, loans within the league, there's no age minimum that comes out with that. So that makes a lot of sense. And then there's no limit on the amount of cash first that any team can make as well, which again, there's two, I think it was two that you could make last year.
Yeah.
Why are we capping it? Why are we putting a limit on the amount that you can
they were experimenting and didn't want anybody to overload, right, or go overboard with it, and so they were like, two. Let's just say two. But yeah, glad that they've made these rule changes. Obviously, like Ryan said, extending the summer transfer window is going to be huge. Hopefully, like Chris has done kind of in the past, or at least talked about. Let's get the deals done early in the window, so that way, yes, we do now have the transfer window until September 2nd. Let's not wait, that long, because then that's even fewer games that our guys get to play. Heading towards the MLS playoffs there. But yeah, once again, this is kind of all restructuring to kind of sync, like Ryan said, with the global calendar, helping that schedule shift in 2027.
Yeah, I think the league's finally catching on. It just took them a while, for things that make sense, and everyone else thought it made sense except for them. But we're finally getting change, which is a positive. We'll see kind of what happens as we move forward with FC Cincinnati 2, Sam. We have a schedule that was revealed this past week. FC Cincinnati 2 will open their season against Connecticut United FC early on, I think in March, right? I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that'll be their first one. They'll wrap up their season with Heck is Plausible, I guess, early on in the season. Is that before May ends?
Yeah. So both, bouts, right? They'll play a home and away with the Columbus Crew. So we'll be done with playing the Crew by May.
Interesting.
Which is kind of crazy. I think they play the Crew, there's maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks in between, both matches, and then boom, you're done. No more, Heck is Plausible, which is kind of, unfortunate. You kind of want, a little later in the season, but Ryan, what honestly, what stuck out to me about, obviously you're like, oh, FCC2 schedule, like who cares? They're playing through the FIFA World Cup period, which I thought was interesting.
I don't think a lot of players from Next Pro are going to be finding their way to a squad, but
they're not. It's something, more soccer to watch.
Well, exactly. So again, for those locally, you don't have FC Cincinnati playing for a month. Go out to NKU. Go watch their matches because, again, they're going to be playing, like Sam said, through that period. So if you're getting excited and you're like, hey, I loved watching the U.S. play or whatever, go support locally. Go. Why don't we have FCC2 play in TQL during that time?
I think that would be great. Yeah.
I think that'd be awesome. Why not? But if not, go down to NKU and support them. They have their decision day. It's always a little bit of a shorter season, I believe, for them, but September 20th, they close their regular season at home against Crown Legacy. So excited to kind of see what goes on with them. As a part of news for the second team, we finally got some answers for the goalkeeper room. Brian Dowd, a 23-year-old goalkeeper, a former draft pick, number 6 overall in 2024. He was, I believe, with Chicago Fire. He now moves on to us in our second team. But Sam, likely he's maybe pushing for that third spot on the roster right now. With Paul Walters moving abroad, we have another young, I believe, homegrown guy, or actually comes over from Inter Miami.
Yeah,
he's battling with him. That guy Dale, I believe, is down in, I think, Florida as well, right, with the squad.
Yeah,
and maybe kind of pushing for that third spot.
Yeah, Connor Dale, and
Connor
Brian
Dale,
Dowd here. Yeah, yeah. So Brian Dowd, obviously, I mean, you look at this guy, he's got a lot of experience and he's only 23, which is crazy. He's had multiple stints in the USL Championship the past 2 seasons, one with Huntsville City FC and then with FC Tulsa, which very interesting. He was recalled in May of 2025 from FC Tulsa to go back to the Chicago Fire MLS Next Pro team. And then FC Tulsa would go on to be in the USL Championship final.
Wow.
So he potentially missed out on, being a part of the playoffs and that journey. Unfortunately, he wouldn't have raised the trophy because our guy Eric Dick and the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, took it home. But yeah, Dowd, like you said, he's down in Florida with the club for their preseason. And yeah, I mean, potentially could be that third goalkeeper if we need him. I don't know that you'll see. Maybe you'll see something similar that we saw the last season, right? With Kenji, with Noah Adnan, like where we're signing these guys on like loan, like a two match loan or something, from FCC2 to be able to like just be on the roster. So we'll kind of see what that looks like for him, but very happy that we got another goalkeeper in the room.
Yeah, don't worry, everyone. Like Chris was thinking about it, we're like, well, if Paul Walters is out, then who's in? And it's like, don't worry, we already have that lined up. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think as you see Leroux make that great save in the preseason match, like we're pretty solidified with number one and number two goalkeeper. We're pretty spoiled in that regard. So hopefully it doesn't come to a third goalkeeper for the first team. But as we move along, we did a little snow day mailbag for everyone that's in Cincinnati or the surrounding area. We got a lot of snow and there was not a lot going on. So we wanted to do a mailbag and kind of see your guys' thoughts. Number one, a wish list for sword pull. We got some interesting thoughts with that. Go ahead and run us through what we saw.
Yeah. So first one on the list, somebody said Ellie De La Cruz, pulling the sword there. My favorite off this list, Ryan Elser, our flying line co-host here, possibly pulling the sword. Who knows? I shouted out the three people I could see is possibly Caitlin Clark. I mean, she was involved in the NWSL wanting to bring a team to Cincinnati. Maybe they try again. Maybe, big push there. I don't know. And then our former PA announcer, right? So after 8 years, he's no longer going to be the FCC PA announcer. I could see him being a sword pull at some point in the season. You got a lot of home games, right? Got to fill them. And then lastly, Yuya Kubo. Hey, I mean, do you think which is more likely at this point, his dog to pull the sword or for Yuya to pull the sword?
I would love Yuya to pull it every game. That would just be electric because we just didn't get any real energy from Yuya. He was so private, and then to see him go and pull the sword and just be energetic would just be awesome. So I really like that one. Joey B, I think he's been a part of the Bengals that had done it before, but he didn't actually do the sword pull. Lucho Acosta is hilarious. I think that would be, he's not in the MLS anymore. I don't know if that's too soon. Ochocinco, not a bad shout at all. Greg Landsman, a Ohio Republican or
representative.
Representative. Yeah. That would be interesting. And then I think we have another local Cincinnati rapper as well that was put on here. Was it Cal Scrubby?
Scrubby? I don't know. I don't know who he is, but
what about do you think I Show Speed would ever do it?
Obviously, if you didn't see, he was wearing some FC Cincinnati shorts that he got, during his time at the training grounds on his, newest live stream. So
in Ghana, he was in Ghana rocking FC Cincinnati.
Yeah, rocking some FC. So why not? Right? But Ryan, another mailbag question we had was positions of need for FC Cincinnati. I think we kind of put this out last time too, but what did the people have to say?
Yeah, number one, I like this. Get Matt healthy and and work on transition play. That's for sure a thing. Not necessarily a position, but I agree. Center back, and then somebody said all of them. So interesting that it feels like we need to upgrade everywhere. Center back again, strikers, defenders, left wing back. So that's interesting that we still need to do some work there. I think Brian Ramirez and Kyle Smith is pretty solidified. But
Yeah, I don't know if those people saw the news. Maybe they're waiting. They're waiting on the
or maybe
visa.
they don't think it's enough.
Yeah,
maybe they think that we need more than that too. I mean, I get it. I mean, I would love, I don't know, Lamine Yamal to come in or something. That would be great. But yeah, no, I think we can all agree striker center back was the most listed thing on here. And I think we still need some depth in both of those. As we get closer to the beginning of the season, we'll do a deep dive of what the roster looks like. And maybe we have another player in potentially by then as well. Then finally, this is one was interesting, Sam. Rewatching what big FC Cincinnati moments.
you got a lot of time on your
cool
hands.
ones. Yeah.
I mean,
what do we hear from people?
Yeah, snow day. You're just inside. Hey, let's just turn on some highlights, some clips, some feel good moments. And some people let us know that Avo Barrial's goal from Acosta, the Puskás one in the U.S. Open Cup, rewatching that one. The Brenner's second goal, the game-winning goal against the Crew, in the playoffs. Once again, somebody said Barrial. Dado's first MLS goal, which was interesting. Personally, I was putting out there, supporter shield clinching match. I thought, the game-winning goal by Bupenzo, right? Like really electric there. And then you get Denkey's bike, as well as somebody said Denkey's game winner in game 1 against Columbus, and then Brenner in game 3. So a lot of good moments right there, Ryan.
What were you watching, Sam? I didn't hear your response.
No, yeah, I just said the supporter shield.
Oh, my bad. I must have zoned that out.
What were you watching?
So what did you watch? Yeah, no, great moments. I think on these days is when you go back and you look at the USL days as well. I like seeing
good shout.
USL,
Maybe some Ledesma highlights.
Just a highlight, just full of beautiful shots from outside the 18. Yeah, oof. I would love to watch that, and I did not watch that, but I wish I would have now. So thanks for everyone for participating for that. We always like to do those and get some responses. We'll probably periodically throughout the season put those out as well. So hope you enjoyed that. The countdown to the season opener is fully on, though. Again, our first match is going to be at O&M down in the Dominican, Wednesday, February 18th at 8 p.m. We still kind of need to figure out, Sam, for that one. Do they do that on Fox? I can't remember where they have that broadcast. As we get closer, I'm sure we'll get more confirmation. But I'm pretty sure it's a Fox Sports thing.
Yeah, it'll probably be Fox Sports if I had to guess. Probably like
I don't think it's an Apple TV produced one.
No, it's not. The Champions Cup goes through Fox, I believe.
Everyone keep an eye, on their emails too. If you're a season ticket holder, I think Apple is going to be rolling out some of their emails, hopefully at the beginning of February, just kind of with subscriptions and access to the MLS stuff too.
And on the look for the email template, right? Like could give some hints to see what the jersey is going to look like, right, Ryan?
True. If you see that, let us know, and maybe a little hint to that. They've been pretty good about not really showing it too much, I feel like.
I don't know.
Or maybe we just didn't know.
I know it's right in front of us, and we're not getting it. But lastly, once again, just to let you guys know, right around the corner, MLS season opener as well against Atlanta on the February 21st at TQL. Really excited for this. Hopefully, it's not too cold by then, or a foot of snow. So
yeah, exactly. I'm not looking forward to that if that's the case. We're under a month, Sam. So I have to ask you, where do you stand where this team is now compared to all the other teams in the East? As we get maybe, right before the match, we're going to talk about it too. But, as it stands January 26th recording, are you feeling pretty good about where we're at? Or do you feel like we still need some work?
Yeah, I wouldn't say, I have a full grasp on where we are regards to like the rest of the East or the MLS, just because, a lot of stuff has happened this offseason, and I've tried to remain focused on our squad. But I feel confident. I think just the biggest thing that you got to rely on is the cohesion of this squad. Has it finally come together, right? After, hey, injuries have happened, new players. We had last episode, Chris Albright was talking about, hey, this last summer window kind of took a little bit from this, January window, and it's led to a lot of familiar faces staying in camp and being in camp. So that's a positive. And if we can build off that, that's the key thing, right? But how are you feeling?
Pretty solid. Just again with continuity, trying to kind of figure out where Brian Ramirez is standing, with the squad. It again appears that he's playing, so that's good that he's kind of building that chemistry. We'll see kind of what our depth looks like, compared to last season pretty early on, in Champions Cup, they're going to get tested early. But compared to the East, man, I feel like everyone got stronger, so it's going to be really tough again. The West is also fairly strong. So MLS as a whole, like, props to all the teams. They're really kind of pushing themselves in this big year, in this World Cup year. So again, stay tuned. We're going to do a big season preview, as we always do, and kind of predict some things that you guys can go back and laugh about when we get it wrong. Before we go, Sam, go ahead.
Yeah, we've got some special guests coming here in the next, 2 weeks. Before the season starts, I think we'll have probably about 2 or 3 guests. So stay tuned for that. We'll have, I think, 2 new guests who have never been on the podcast / live show before. And then a returning guest who, you guys love to hear from. So look out for those. It'll add a lot of insight into, what we talk about. It's not just us blabbering out here, right? We'll add some resources, add some insight into anything you guys want to know.
Yeah, no, absolutely excited about all those conversations. I think everyone enjoys having some new faces as well and hearing from other perspectives. But I went on the Designated Players podcast as well just this past week. They're going to be rolling out their episodes as a season preview starting on February 1st. Go check out what I had to say a little bit about, breakout players, where I predicted FCC, in the East. Don't judge me again for these predictions and everything. This was recording, a month before the season, but I always enjoy my time on there with them. So go check out all of their work. They do a good job covering the MLS as a whole, and they do that for every single MLS team. So thanks again for joining us tonight. We'll see you guys next time, and hopefully, I guess we'll be breaking down a couple of preseason matches and all of the other FC Cincinnati news that come along in the next week. So thanks again.